What up, y'all? Coach Chad here, CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm starting my treadmill right now. All right. I bought one of those treadmills that people put under their standing desks. I also have a standing desk, by the way. The brand of the standing desk is Uplift, the Uplift desk. And the brand of the treadmill is Urevo, Urevo. But anyways, I know I'm babbling. I want to give this a try. All right. I want to, as you guys know, we're doing 2 podcasts a week now, and I'm trying out doing it on my treadmill. All right. This is a, health and fitness podcast at the end of the day. Obviously it's business primarily, but I'm in the health and fitness space, helping coaches grow their business. So why not? Why not do it on the treadmill? I hope you guys enjoy. There probably will be some moments where I get out of breath. And if you're watching on YouTube, it might look like I'm on a boat right now, but we're doing the damn thing. All right, let's get to it though. I got this quote that I heard the other day, and I want to share it with you guys. I'm going to paraphrase the quote, but it talked about springtime and how we have only so many springs in our life. So I'm going to read the quote. And then I have 5 points that I want to make, because I feel like probably, honestly, let's say since the age of 15, I've been in the spring phase in my life. And I say the age of 15 because I really started personal development at the age of 15. I started my business at the age of 19. I'm now 27. I would say over the past 12 years, I've been very engulfed in personal development. Since 19, I've been very engulfed in business growth. And I would consider myself if we're looking at the seasons of life, I would consider myself in the spring of my life. And when I heard this quote, which I'm going to paraphrase here in just a minute, it really resonated. And I was like, man, I got to tell more people about this. I got to get on the podcast. I got to talk about this. I got to share this with my staff. I got to share this with the clients. And I wanted to share this message with you guys as well. And we have 5 points that are going to drive this quote home that I have written down on my notebook here to the right of me. But let's get into the quote, okay? So paraphrasing the quote here, but it says, don't waste your spring. Kyle edits the podcast. Cue some inspirational music during this point, man. Cue some inspirational music. All right, here we go. Don't waste your spring. In life, you only get so many springs, so many chances to plant seeds, to harvest your crops, to wake up a little earlier, work a little later. You only get that once. Your crops are already grown in summer, dying in fall, and dead in winter. So if you want the most out of those seasons of life, out of your summer, out of your fall, and out of your winter, all that matters is how you show up in spring. And I was like, ooh, that's freaking fire. That's freaking fire. So what does that mean? And then let's get into my 5 points here. What that means is, we only get so many opportunities in life, and those opportunities would be considered the spring, right? The time that you're planting the seeds, the time that you're harvesting the crops. And when you move into the summer of your life, and the fall of your life, and the winter of your life, you don't have as much opportunity, right? When you have that opportunity, when you have that at bat, you got to take the most advantage of it. All right. So I wrote down 5 things. Like I said, I've been in the spring of my life, I personally think, for the past 12 years. And I think I'm going to be in the spring of my life for a little bit longer, hopefully a long ass time. But I wrote down 5 things that I think have been really helpful for me, because I think the spring is the hardest part, right? The spring is the hardest part. And I'm actually going to jump right into my first point. The spring is the hardest part because so many different things happen in spring. It can rain in spring. It can freaking snow in spring. I used to live in Connecticut, and it would snow sometimes in the spring, and it could be sunny in the spring, right? You have to know what spring brings. And spring brings a lot of different shit. It brings the hard times, right? It brings the gloom and doom, right? The hard times being the snow, right? It brings the gloom and doom, which is the rain. It brings the sunshine, right? There's moments where you're like, oh shit, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Right? But you have to understand this when you are in the spring of your life. You have to understand that every day is not going to look the same, like summer does, like fall does, like winter does, right? Those seasons are a lot more consistent. This season, the spring season, is extremely inconsistent. One day it can snow. The next day it can rain. The next day it could be sunny. And you have to know that, and you have to prepare for that. And I think the many different ways that I've been able to prepare for the inconsistencies that spring brings. One is what I'm doing right now. right? I'm exercising right now. You got that's the foundation of life. I truly believe that. You got to be fit physically. You got to be fit mentally. The way that I stay fit mentally is I consume a lot of information like this. I'm constantly listening to podcasts. I'm involved in a few mentorships, right? I'm actively reading as well. I read 10 pages a day. I'm consuming a lot of positive growth-oriented information. All right. So my first point when you are in this season of life for spring is you have to know what you have to expect, what's to come, right? You have to expect that it's going to snow. You have to expect that it's going to rain. You got to expect that there's going to be glimmers of sunshine. Some days might be partly cloudy, and you also have to prepare. And the way that you prepare is you sharpen your axe. All right, you sharpen your tools, right? You're going out to the farm every day to plant seeds. You have to have a good set of tools. And the way that we have a good set of tools is we exercise every day. We prepare our minds every day. We take care of the vessel that is our body. All right, that is point number one. I'm going to cross that off my notebook here. Just so you guys can see, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you go. I literally just write this on a scratched piece of paper. That's how crazy I am. All right, the second point that I have here is you have to schedule time to get out of the dirt and into the clouds. All right. And this is something that Gary Vee talks about a lot. And I thought it was a great analogy for what we're talking about here, right? Because we're talking about harvesting crops, right? We're talking about springtime here. We're talking about planting seeds. All right. So many times when you are planting seeds, when we're talking physically here, when you're actually planting seeds in a garden, what are you doing? You're on your hands and knees. You have a shovel. You're in the dirt. Right? You're only focused on digging that hole, right? You don't see the squirrel off to the left of you. You don't see the bird up at the top right. Heck, maybe you don't even see the bear behind you. I'm just kidding. I'm just being facetious. But when you are digging a hole, you are in the dirt. All right. Same thing is true when you are in this spring season of your life, when you're trying to grow the rest of your life. Maybe it's a business, right? Maybe it's a relationship, whatever it may be. But when you're in that spring phase of your life, you spend a lot of time in the dirt. All right. And when you spend a lot of time in the dirt, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to get stressed. It's very easy to be anxious. It's very easy to say, why the heck am I doing this? So you have to schedule time to get out of the dirt and into the clouds. All right. And what that means, if we're sticking with the farming analogy here, what that means is you have to schedule time to get on your rocking chair and think about not being in the dirt. Think about what you are working towards. Get in the clouds, get in the vision, right? Imagine your crop when it's 100% done. Imagine your goal when it's 100% done. You have to spend time in that rocking chair and you have to spend time thinking big vision. All right. Doesn't have to be hard. All right. Practically speaking, I spend about 3 to 5 minutes in this state every single day. All right. How I start my day, wake up at 5:30. I go for a walk. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm preparing the mind. When I come back, meditate for 5 minutes, visualize for 3 minutes. All right. Visualize for 3 minutes means I lay down and I think about, I'm in the clouds, right? I'm thinking about that harvest fully, or I'm thinking about that crop fully harvested, right? I'm thinking about that crop fully grown. I'm thinking about the goal when it comes to fruition. All right. So point number 2 here is you have to schedule time to get out of the dirt, because we spend majority of spring is spent in the dirt, but we have to schedule time to get out of the dirt and into the clouds. All right. So that's point number 2. We could check that one off. All right, getting into the third point here. All right, and this is a saying that I think is extremely important, because when we are in the springtime, we need vision, which we just talked about. We need to know what's to come and we need to prepare. All right, the third thing we need reassurance. All right, we need reassurance that we are on the right path. All right, and the only person that's going to give you that reassurance is yourself. Sure, you can get reassurance from other people. You can get reassurance from a coach. You can get reassurance from a friend. You can get reassurance from a family member, right? But that isn't true. That's temporary, right? That's the Band-Aid, right? Yes, it feels good when they tell you, hey, you're doing a good job. Claps to you, right? But what is lasting is the reassurance that you give yourself. All right. And how do we give ourselves reassurance? Sure. Yeah, we could write down wins. We can acknowledge and celebrate, the sunny days or the partly cloudy days, right? But the best way for me to do it is to ask myself a question. All right. The best way to give myself reassurance is to ask myself a question. And the question is, what would make your 80-year-old self proud? What would make your 80-year-old self proud? And the reason I love that question, and the reason that question gives you reassurance, is because it's going to align your actions with what would make your 80-year-old self proud. And what's going to make your 80-year-old self proud? Taking action to see this crop all the way through, to see this crop when it's fully grown, right? That's what's going to make your 80-year-old self proud. And that's what's going to give you the reassurance that you are taking the necessary action to see this springtime all the way through. So ask yourself the right questions. Okay, that's the third point here. All right, moving on to point number 4. All right, the next thing you need during springtime is you need focus. All right, you need focus. So keeping into this farmer's analogy, the next thing that we need to talk about here is what are the moles preventing your springtime crops from growing? All right, when you're trying to grow a crop, what are the things that are going to hold you back? Weeds are going to hold you back. Moles are going to hold you back. Insects are going to hold you back, right? These are the things that are going to eat away at your crop and make sure that they don't grow, right? Make sure that they don't come to fruition here. All right, which means the next thing we need is focus. All right, we need focus to be able to eliminate the moles, to eliminate the insects, to eliminate the weeds. And the only way to actually do that, speaking in your goals terms, is we need to identify what those are, right? What are the moles that are eating away at your crops right now? All right, maybe it's alcohol, right? That's one for me. All right, that's one for me. Not saying that I have a problem with alcohol, but I know if I do have it on the weekends, it affects the week, right? Maybe it's a toxic relationship. Maybe it's a toxic family member. Maybe it's a toxic employee. Maybe it's a toxic friend, right? Maybe it's a negative habit that you have in your life. Maybe it's something that you keep telling yourself you're going to do, but you just don't do it, right? You're not fulfilling your promises. Right? What are the moles that are eating away at your crop right now? Maybe you watch the news, right? Maybe it's simple. Maybe you turn on the TV when you're not supposed to and you watch the news and you're filling yourself with negative stuff, right? Maybe you're just talking drama all day long with your friends, right? We have to identify what are the moles, what are the insects, what are the weeds that are eating away at this crop and preventing it from growing it to its full potential. All right, so that's the next point here. We need focus. In order to focus, we have to eliminate the moles. We have to eliminate the insects. We have to eliminate the crops. All right. What's the fifth thing? What's the fifth thing that we need during springtime? We need to take action. All right. This is going to be the simplest one. All right. We need to plant. We need to nurture. What does a farmer do every single day? A farmer does the same thing every single day. They're extremely consistent. For you fitness people that are listening, in order to lose weight, what do you have to do every single day? The same thing every single day, right? You got to eat in a calorie deficit and you got to expend energy. You got to work out, right? And you do those things every single day, one step at a time until you've lost the amount of weight that you're looking to lose. Well, guess what? In business, it's the same thing. When we're trying to achieve a business goal, there's really only a few things that we have to do every single day. We have to sell, we have to market, we have to deliver to our clients. And if you have a team, you have to lead your team. Those are the 4 things in business that you have to do every single day. I'm going to say it again. You have to sell, you got to market, you got to deliver your service to the highest degree, and you got to lead your team. All right. And you do those things. And just like you eat in a calorie deficit, and just like you exercise, and just like you plant, and just like you foster your crops, you got to do those things every single day consistently. Right? What does that sound like? You got to live in the dirt every single day consistently. You got to take action every single day consistently. And if you don't, that crop's going to die. All right. That springtime is going to turn to summer and fall and winter. And you're going to get to the end of the road and you're going to say, shit, I wish I worked a little bit harder in spring. And that's how we're going to conclude today's episode, y'all. These are the 5 things. All right. I'll say these are the 6 things. The first thing is we only get one crack at this. All right, you're only going to get so many springtimes in your life. All right. Very soon your spring is going to turn to summer, and your summer is going to turn to fall, and your fall is going to turn to winter. And you're going to get to the end of the road and you're going to say, shit, I wish I took a lot more advantage of that springtime. All right. Once you recognize that, there's 5 things that you need to do during springtime. All right. What you need to do is you need to schedule time to get out of the dirt and into the clouds, right? You have to create a vision. You got to see that vision every day. The second thing you have to do here is you need reassurance. Ask yourself every day, what actions would make my 80-year-old self proud? The third thing you got to do is we got to remove the moles. We got to get focused. What are the things that are eating away at your crops during springtime? Number 4, we got to understand what we're getting into, and we got to prepare. Spring is crazy. It's going to rain. It's going to snow. It's going to be partly cloudy. There might be a tornado. There might be a hurricane, right? But there's also going to be moments of sun as well. All right. So we got to know what we're getting into, and we got to prepare for that by sharpening our body, sharpening our minds. 5th thing, got to take consistent action. Got to spend majority of the time in the dirt. Got to plant and got to nurture. All right, guys, we get one crack at this. I hope you guys enjoyed this little treadmill talk with Chad, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.